Hey there, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Farrell, a co-founder of Humanities Team, the executive director. I am coming to you live here this afternoon from our studio in Boulder, Colorado. And look who I have with me today, Valerie Love, who I'll introduce in a second. Valerie, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, Steve, thank you for the invitation. I'm looking forward to a wonderful discussion.
Okay, me too. Wow. And um, Valerie is coming to you live from Salem, Massachusetts. Do I have that right?
That's right.
Okay, so this is a live program, folks. So if you're watching there out on social media and you've got a question for Valerie, throw it in the chat and we'll try and get to your questions here during this program. We're going to go about a half hour, 30, 40 minutes here. So let me introduce Valerie to get us started. Valerie Love is the author of a book actually launched today. How cool is that? It's called Witch, Divine Alignments with Primordial Energies of Magic and Cycles of Nature, a book in the Common Sentience series. And Ariel Patricia is the CEO of this publishing house that is that's publishing this book, also published my book called A New Universal Dream, and it's called Sacred Stories Publishing. So shout out to Ariel too here for putting this program together. And Valerie, thanks so much for being here with me. By the way, let me just finish her bio here. So she's actually the author of 24 books on practical spirituality, magic, the occult, and Christian witchcraft. As an ordained minister of spiritual consciousness, practicing Christian witch and global retreat center leader, her sole mission is to inspire people to freedom. So, wow, how cool is this? And I am, as I was sharing with you here as this program was starting, Valerie, I got a lot to learn because I know you are doing some really cool things. So, and congratulations on your book launch. It's got to be an exciting day for you, huh?
Oh my goodness, it is an amazing experience, especially because today is my 62nd birthday. So I am about to start my 63rd trip around the sun, and it's going to be the best trip around the sun ever.
Wow, no kidding. Do you want to hold your book up?
Yes. So here
There it
is the book.
is. Yeah, part of the
And
common.
it is a true I don't want to say labor of love because it didn't feel like labor. It felt like pouring our energy into a gift to humanity. And there are several other authors in the book as well, because all of the books in the Common Sentient series have storytellers, sacred storytellers in the book as well. So not only are you reading my story, you're also reading stories from about a dozen other witches as well, which are fascinating. So thank you for having me, Steve.
Yeah, well, I am so grateful to have you because, you know, most of us grew up, right, with, in fact, Salem, Massachusetts. How perfect is this, right? That this is where you're coming in live from, where we read these stories in history class in Salem, Massachusetts. And boy, some not very nice things happened to witches that were based there. But help us just clear up this thing. You know, what is a witch? How do you describe a witch here, Valerie?
As an emissary of the goddess. So almost like the hands of the goddess on the planet in the third dimensional plane. So a witch also is a healer, a teacher, a way shower, and a tender or keeper of nature. So these are some of the themes that we see with witches who do their work in the world. And I also experience the witch as an ancient archetype. So we have archetypes that are active in the unconscious, in the vast unconscious. And some of the archetypes that we know of are wizard or witch or king or queen or mother or father. And so witch lives in the unconscious of every human being, which is quite fascinating. That's why we find that every culture, regardless of where they're located on the planet, has witches.
Yeah, no kidding. So, how did Valerie? How in the world did you have movies like what was it? Was it Gone with the Wind, or what was with Dorothy and the yeah, Wizard of Oz? Yeah. How did
Wizard of
witches get?
Oz.
how did they get framed, as this other thing, of evil energy and so on? What happened here?
For what I can intuit, is that humans tend to fear what we do not understand. And that misunderstanding of the powers of the witch, the abilities of the witch, and understand and seeing what gifts a witch could actually effect in the world, it could elicit fear if we're not mindful, if we're not intentional. Humans, we tend to have a fearful part of our consciousness. And this is the shadow. And it's the same aspect of us that we thought there might be a monster under the bed when we were little, when we were kids, right? Or in the closet, any place that was dark. We thought maybe there was a monster lurking there, only to peer into the darkness and discover there was no monster at all, and there was nothing to be afraid of in the dark. So the more we have understanding of the witch, which is what this book really is about, to help us have greater understanding, then the less we'll be fearful.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and not only that, but in fact, we can go right into you're a Christian witch, which, we talk about what that means, but it's not only not fearful, but I'm sure there are all these blessings and healing and things that you're bringing through your work. Is that not the case?
Yes, because I am what they call, I guess you could say, a white witch or a blessing witch. And I am the kind of witch that I'm the Glinda in the story of The Wizard of Oz. And we remember that there were 4 witches in The Wizard of Oz. And the one who actually elicited and catalyzed the going home for Dorothy, returning to her true self within, which she had the power to do all along, the one who actually catalyzed that transformation was a witch, Glinda, the good witch. Right. She was seeking, as we know, right? Dorothy was seeking something outside of herself to take herself home. She thought she needed a wizard. And the witch was the one that reminded her, you have the power and you've had it all along. And all you get to do is click your heels 3 times and you'll be home. And that was what actually set Dorothy free. So a witch is sort of the heroine of that story.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so, and then what is a Christian witch? What does that bring in with the Christian dimension here?
Well, I have a deep Christian background. I was raised by a fundamentalist mom, Christian mom and dad. And in our home, of course, nothing to do with spirits or seeing spirits or any of the things I was experiencing were okay. They were all sort of put into the dark side, category of the dark side. Well, as I continue to grow and mature spiritually and learn more and really follow my own soul's calling, I discovered that these things are not inherently evil. They're just perhaps misunderstood. And I can appreciate the Christian warning to people to not dabble in, quote unquote, the dark arts, because not everyone knows how to do it. Not everyone is trained or ready to do it. And we shouldn't, it's almost like fire. I find that magic and witchcraft are powerful, powerful currents of energy, not unlike electricity and fire. So when we were younger, no one allowed us to work with fire and no one allowed us to work with electricity. Rightly so. Yet, if we are 3 and our parents tell us, no, don't touch the stove, and we're 17 or 20 and they say, no, don't touch the stove, something has gone terribly wrong. So we are to grow into these energies and we are to understand and mature spiritually so that we can be conduits of all of these energies. There's really no energy that a human being, since we're all divine beings, cannot work with and conduct if our system is prepared, if our consciousness is aligned. We can work with all the energies in the universe, and that is indeed our calling. So as I began to understand that more, I saw that Christ was probably one of the greatest magicians who ever lived. And it was a somewhat shocking revelation because it was very different from what I was taught. I was taught that he didn't do magic, he did miracles. Well, it's very difficult to really discern the distinction between magic and a miracle. And I would offer that there really is no distinction, and that people who are very powerful when it comes to energy and transmuting energy and healing, we've seen people like this. I would say that that is the ability of all humans if we desire to tap into it. Everyone can be a Christ. So as I continue to deepen in my relationship with Christ as consciousness, not as a human being, and deepen into following the life and teachings of Christ, which is a spiritual path for me, not a religion, I saw that it was very aligned with the life of a witch, and that there was nothing inherently, I would say, contradictory in the Christ walk and the walk as a witch. It was very complementary, actually. And so that's how I came to it. And, I was very afraid, Steve, you can imagine, to talk about these kinds of things.
Right.
You can imagine. I was very afraid to talk about these things, yet the love overpowered the fear. And so I began to talk about it publicly. And while I received a lot of backlash from Christians, what was more important and what my work is about is I began to have so many people raise their hand and say, I've wanted to go into a crystal shop and I go to church. You mean I can do that? I've wanted to have a magic wand. You mean I can have a magic wand and a Bible? Yes, you can.
Right. Yeah. So you found your people, your tribe, huh?
I did. And there's plenty of them all around the world. And it's really fascinating because the origins of Christianity are very multifaceted and include paganism. It's really a beautiful marriage of Christian Christ principles and paganism. It's a beautiful marriage. So I don't know that we give that a lot of honor in a typical Christian setting. We do, as Christian witches, we honor the multifaceted aspect of having a Christ walk that is a spiritual path and not doctrine and dogma and locked into a religion, if that's a person's experience.
Yeah, amen to that. So, and this whole shift, this grand awakening is that. It's a new spirituality emerging on the earth. So, yeah, this is terrific. And you bring to it a very interesting, narrow and deep, maybe not so narrow, but deep wisdom here. And that you have crossed to where you frame now witch right up front. That's the big term in the book. You're even, you've gone way past fear. You've made it a magnet that's actually drawing people to you. Is that not true?
It's so true. And this is why, Steve, the witch as archetype really is a very important way of looking at the witch, because we all have this witch wizard inside of us. Anyone can tap into it. And so some people are of the thought that, well, only certain people can be witches. Really, anyone can be a witch who desires to tap into that. It's a potentiality available to all.
So in your practice here, Valerie, what are things that you do? Because I'm sure when you're speaking, people come up to you and it resonates deeply with some. And so you're probably mentoring lots of people. What are the kinds of things that you do with people that want to go, that read your book? Let's just share the name of the book again. I'm sure it's available on Amazon today. So Witch, Divine Alignments and Primordial Energies of Magic and Cycles of Nature. It's in the Common Sentience series, so that's Sacred Stories Publishing. It's available on Amazon, probably in bookstores today, right,
yes,
Valerie?
Today, yes, on my birthday.
Yeah, on your birthday. That's so perfect. And congratulations again. So how do you mentor people? What are the things that you do with people that deeply resonate with your work?
We have two very specific ways that we work with people. We have a mystery school, and in the mystery school, we actually teach magic from the Bible. And we teach the Bible as really a book that has actually brought to us wisdom from ancient Greece, Rome, Egyptian, Sumerian, Assyrian, Babylonian. All of that is found in the Bible. The Bible is literally a treasure trove of ancient wisdom if we approach it that way and not as a book that is the inerrant word of God that has to be followed no matter what. There are many ways of looking at the Bible that make the Bible a very alive energy tone that can really offer a lot in the way of ancient mysteries, secrets, esoteric understanding of the Bible, metaphysical understanding of the Bible. There's astrology in the Bible. And so the Bible for me has really helped me on the mystical path. When I stopped looking at the Bible the way that I was traditionally taught to look at the Bible. It didn't work for me, even though it may work for other people. For me, I required a greater or more expansive way of looking at things, especially because of my work in the world. So we work with our students in the mystery school, and we also have a coven. And a coven is a collection of witches. And we meet every Wednesday on Witchy Wednesday, and we study nature, we study the mystical arts, we study witchcraft and magic. We study many different types of magic because there are magics that have come to us from Africa, from West Africa, and carry through the Caribbean into the Americas through the slave trade, the diaspora. We have magic that has come to us from Germany. We have the Scottish witches. Really, every culture brings us magic. Every culture has magic, from the Druids to the shamans. They all have magic. And the principles are frighteningly similar, which is really very fascinating. Even though the flavors of them may be a little different, it's still magic, and it is just magnificent. So that's what we delve into the coven, and we actually do rituals. We do rituals together. And that's probably one of the most meaningful and profound aspects of the work that I do, is doing magic together.
Yeah, I'll bet. And do people move to Salem, Massachusetts, because this is their chosen wisdom tradition, and they want to be, and that that people, just because of the history of that area, they want to be there with this whole modern spiritual witchcraft as it's defined here?
That is an excellent question. We actually have a traveling mystery school. So we go all over the world, and we hold rituals and events in New Orleans, Salem, and we just returned from Egypt, where we were able to go into the ancient pyramids and as well several temples along the Nile River. And we had our ritual there in Egypt as well. So we're global in what we do, so people don't have to move. They can tap into what we're doing from anywhere, and they can join us at any of our rituals and retreats. And they are probably the most gratifying part of what I do, because I love being hands-on with people in person.
I'll bet. How do they find you and learn more about these retreats and things that you do, Valerie?
At valerielove.com and at christianwitches.com. So at valerielove.com, you'll see that we love to come together at 4 specific times of the year. And that is the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice. So our retreats are around those times of year, as well as the Lion's Gate. So our retreats are aligned with the cosmos. So we like to tap into stellar energies, planetary energies, lunar energies, solar energies, galactic energies, cosmic energies. There's so many energies that are available to us that if we tapped into them, greatly would improve our lives. greatly improve our lives. So living a ritualistic life, living a life aligned with nature, living a life of magic is very soul satisfying for me and for the people that choose this kind of path.
Yeah, I'm sure we call it in humanities team, or what I call it is aligning with the divine, and you could call it aligning with the universe, aligning with the cosmos, because the divine and universe are interchangeable words. But I'm sure it's the same thing, except that you're going deep down into these particular wisdom traditions that you're sharing, and some of the teachings, the magic, the miracles, and things where where it sounds like you're training people to bring these kinds of things into their daily living, huh?
Yes, because we may have lost something along the way. Many, many thousands of years ago, all of our ancestors, they knew the magic of the woods and the leaf and the river. And they knew that they awakened with the sun. They slowed down when it was time for night to fall. They gazed at stars. And over time, people began to move from, during the Industrial Revolution, which was a great time for humanity, yet we began to move more away from our rural settings where we were immersed in nature. And it's impossible to be immersed in nature and be out of touch with the divine, because the divine is nature. Yes. So
Right.
it is very palpable when one is in nature that the wind is speaking to me and this is the divine. It's very experiential. So when we moved away from that, and then eventually the light bulb was invented, which may have been one of the greatest discoveries for humanity, yet also with all great discoveries, we get to take care with how we integrate the discovery into our lives. So if we use the light bulb to stay up all night and not honor our circadian rhythms, then that's not a helpful use of the light bulb. It would be great to use it in the day so we can see better if we're in an enclosed space. So we didn't sit around campfires anymore, or just fires at night, right? It got cool at night. And so we bundled up maybe with the animal skins that we had eaten the food from the animals, right? And we didn't waste anything. And so we bundled up with the animal skins and we sat around fires and we told stories and we were enchanted and everything was magical. And so now we've become very tech, which is great. I love tech. Without tech, we wouldn't be able to have this kind of conversation. And so what we're reminding the human race of is this: you are magic. And let us bring the magic into our lives in addition with the tech. Let us not leave our magic behind. Let us not call it superstition or old wives' tales or carrying a rabbit's foot. There's something wrong with that. Let's integrate and be modern mystics, right? As Common Sentience and the whole series is teaching us, we're making the mystical mainstream. So you can have a rabbit's foot in one pocket and your mobile phone in another.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And that is, when they talk about the highly evolved beings out in the universe, they say there's this beautiful blended hybrid that's like 50-50, which is the mystical and technology, and each has its place. As you mentioned, we can reach around the world now, and in fact we are. People all over the world can watch this broadcast. Fantastic, because teachings can just travel at the speed of light. And yet, as you mentioned, you bring in the example of a light bulb at night, and you stay up all night. Well, that's not necessarily going to take us in directions we want to go. So finding kind of the boundaries, for these, how do these merge, create an intersection that really supports and nurtures life? Because after all, that kind of is the basis for conscious living, is serving life first. Each other, the earth, animal life and plant life, then we're on it.
That's what we love. And which is, you can find us. This morning I was in a confession, Steve, if that's okay. This morning I was in the graveyard, in the cemetery, And I spent quite a few hours there, well, about an hour there this morning on my birthday. It's a place I love to go when I come to Salem. And I came home with a pocket full of acorns because while I was there, surrounded by all these spirits and beings who have crossed over, they're not gone. They just don't have they're not corporeal anymore, right? They don't have a form anymore. We know they live forever. And so while I was there, surrounded by all this quote unquote death, I came across an abundance of acorns. And I looked down, and life said to me, this is potential. So while you're looking at death, this death goes into the ground and it feeds new life in a great cycle of life. And I walked past the acorns and something had me turn back and scoop up a few of those acorns and put them in my pocket. And they'll go on my altar as a reminder of potentiality. Because from this tiny acorn comes a 40-foot oak tree.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Isn't that, what a great just intersection of as you mentioned, where we've got not the non-physical realm with what it is, and then the physical realm where you've got everything that's already there. An oak tree, there is nothing more that goes into the oak tree than what is in that acorn at its very start. Mm-hmm. Its entire life is baked right into that acorn. So yeah, what an incredible intersection. That's beautiful. Yeah, so what a way to start your day. Gosh. Well, so your book, you discuss, and we've actually gone a minute over, but let's just, if you have a few more minutes, I'll just get to another question here. So in your book, you discuss ancestry and different witchcraft traditions. Can you share some examples?
Yes. So my father, when he was in this life, was Puerto Rican. So he was from Puerto Rico. My mother is African American. So there you have a couple of different strands of magic. Now they start over, some of these strands of magic start in West Africa. So in Benin, in that part of Africa, we have the birthplace of Vodou, or as it came through the diaspora. And when it went to Haiti, it became voodoo. And then it went to New Orleans, it also became voodoo. So these are the strand or current of magic that has traveled across the pond, as we could say, right? And then we also have Yoruba. And Yoruba started in Nigeria and came through the diaspora, also went through the islands. And in some of the islands, you have what's called Santeria. We also have 21 divisions, which we have as a magical system that is in Dominican Republic. The Santeria is a blend of Yoruba, or some of the African magics, with Roman Catholicism, which I think is just brilliant and beautiful. And, I look at some of my ancestry, and some would say that it was a horror story. I don't look at it that way, because I understand that all humans have had extreme adversity. If we look at all of I know some people who came here from Poland and other countries, and their family had unimaginable travail. And so that is part of the human experience. What I love is that the magic lived on through all of these experiences. And so when you look at Santeria, which has elements of the African magic, the people that they met up with were Catholics, right? Roman Catholics. And so they married or syncretized the gods, or what we would call the Orisha of the African traditions, with the saints. And they found that they were a perfect match. And so now we have magic that you can work with the saints, if that's what you love. And so we have magic for everyone. And so we have hoodoo, we have Santeria, 21 divisions. There are so many strands of magic, voodoo, of course, and these magics originated, some of them in Africa. Also, hoodoo is a syncretized form of magic that involves the German peoples who migrated here, as well as African people, as well as Native American people in North America. So when the magic meets different people, it just morphs to what those people need. And it's not owned by any group of people. So it's truly a universal phenomenon.
Yeah, wow, that is just astounding, really. All of the things, there's so much that you've covered that just kind of turns wisdom on its head, where, again, because of movies that have created these stereotypes, there's kind of this one thinking, but you just kind of turn all that wisdom on its head as you bring in the history of these wisdom traditions and your own story, which, how powerful is that, where your parents were fundamentalist Christians and then you grew into who you become. And boy, you've got a lot of courage, huh? Because I'm sure there were plenty of arduous hills that you had to climb to come to where you are now. And even now, I would guess, as you travel around the world, where witchcraft is out front in the framing, there just would be so many people that, without understanding anything, maybe would be pushing away. I'm sure you must find that sometimes, huh?
It's very interesting, Steve. I'm always welcomed because I intuit that it is love and that everyone's first language is energy. And when we come with love and power and wisdom and peace, that is sensed and reciprocated.
Yeah, amen. Well, and you do embody that. So I'm sure from the stage, yeah, people feel that. And so do you travel around the country here, Valerie? I know you do these retreats worldwide, and how cool is that? You just came back from Egypt, but like here in the U.S., are you in the central U.S. and West Coast and so on, or are you more virtually based and you're coming to people like you are now over Zoom or some kind of virtual experience?
Yes, our virtual events, those happen every Wednesday in our coven and also our mystery school. Those happen virtually. And then when we do our retreats, we do have several that we do in the United States as well. So we love going to Sedona because of the vortex energy in Sedona. We've done many powerful rituals in Sedona. So we've been there quite often. We love New Orleans. We love Sedona, Salem. We love going to places where it's spiritually charged with an energy that is very amenable to working magic.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, wow, what an incredible program this has been. Valerie Love, gosh, and your birthday, and the release of your brand new book today, Witch, Divine Alignments and Primordial Energies of Magic and Cycles of Nature, available on Amazon and in bookstores. There it is. And it's Valerie's birthday today. And yeah, thank you for holding that up, a part of the Common Sentient series. We have interviewed most of the Common Sentient series authors. We've got one more to go. Neil Donald Walsh, wonder who that guy is. He's going to be with us next month.
I've only
God
got
Talk.
all of his books dog-eared and highlighted and underlined. I love all the conversations with God that he's walked us through.
Yeah. Oh, well, and of course, you probably know he's my co-founder here in Humanities Team. 20 years ago in June 2003, we founded Humanities Team. And yeah. So I don't know if you did know that, but so we work very closely with Neil. Yeah. So websites, again, that people can go to follow your work and to learn more about you and your book here, Valerie.
ValerieLove.com, and that's spelled VALERIELOVE.com, and ChristianWitches.com for all things Christian witches.
Okay, there you go. So check it out. Wow, because this is really, we're 20 years old as a nonprofit 501c3, and I haven't, in the 20 years, haven't come across somebody like Valerie Love with amazing work she's doing. And wow, I'm sure that some people have dialed in and are watching this on social media that are where this resonates deeply. So, I mean, it resonates deeply with us. And we would love to stay in touch with you, Valerie. And in fact, we have teachings on our streaming platform. If you stay on the camera when we go down, I'll tell you a little bit about it. But would love to remain in touch with you. You are definitely a divine expression, actually, as we all are, right? That's part of what this personal awakening thing is. It's going on right now. So thank you so much for joining us today, Valerie. We sure appreciate it. You've been terrific. What a great guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody watching, love and peace and blessings. And back with you Wednesday next week. And I'm going to have the Heart Math leaders, Deborah Rosman and Howard Martin, with me. We'll launch at 9 a.m. Pacific next Wednesday. So have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.